Okay, we are back for another episode of Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities, where my guest today is Paul Newell. And Paul, he's a men's well-being guide, author, group facilitator, and teacher. And let me say, he's a little bit modest because he's so much more than what he gave me. So I'm going to make Paul share about who he is and what he does. But welcome to the podcast, Paul.
Oh, Candice, I appreciate you. This is super cool. I'm excited to be here. And thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm being humble and modest, but yeah, I'm a coach, a guide, a well-being guide, yoga instructor, Reiki master. All those things are I'm here as a guide for others. I'm really passionate about helping others get it. And when I say get it, helping them come back to themselves, helping them come home. So a lot of the modalities that I've learned over the years are designed, or as I've noticed looking back on, they're designed to help me help others come home. So
Right.
that's my main gig, and I do it in a lot of different ways. And as we go on, I'll share more of them. Yeah.
Well, first of all, a lot of these modalities that you now help other people with, and specifically men,
Hmm.
um, they were helping you first.
Ooh, yes.
So maybe you can give us a little bit about your story and how this ended up being the thing you're most passionate about because it started with you. And then you're like,
Yeah.
this is what I've learned, and now I can help others.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the platform to be able to share and discuss this because the path has been far from easy or light. I'll put it to you that way. So my journey was really started when I decided to get a divorce, and the people talk about the hero's journey all the time, where you have that initiation or that event that just rocks your world. And while that event was tough, I think the event actually activated other points that were going to be treacherous for me, and an opportunity for me to really find myself and get to know who I really am. So it all started with deciding to get a divorce, then going through the divorce and getting to see who people really are, alliances, who I really am, my dark cloud moments. I and the fact that I was resistant to asking for help, experiencing what depression is, anxiety, panic attacks. Uh, these are all things I started to become plagued with. And it was interesting because these modalities that I learned, for example, yoga, I learned it because I wanted to create a class when I was a personal trainer. I didn't learn it for myself.
Oh,
So I
okay.
found later on, like as I was going through my teacher training and learning more about meditation and breathing techniques, then all of a sudden, crying out of nowhere, I was like, "What? What's happening?" It was just like this magical thing, and I really understood the science and practice of yoga, and then I started teaching others. And then with things like Reiki and energy work, and then being able to really hone in on communication, the words that I'm telling myself, even after I'd gone through my divorce and I had gone through relationships, I still found I was repeating the same patterns. So when I started noticing that, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to change this and this and this. And that's when I noticed about the rewiring of the brain and how the brain works, how we communicate with each other, how our energy and visualization can really help us to rewire certain circumstances. Speaking for myself in my timeline. So realizing that and then going through the family courts and seeing other men experience what I was experiencing. Then also going through my own initiation through the Mankind Project and the New Warrior Training Adventure, then staffing that initiation process for other men. Woof! Everything started opening up. I was like, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. So yeah, so that's how it started. It started with a divorce, and then over time, I started to accumulate these different modalities, and each of them helped me in a different way. Even though my initial pursuit of them, it wasn't for me; it was for someone else. then going back on it and learning to integrate the tools, which is something I'm very passionate about teaching men and others. It's like, okay, you can learn as much as you want to learn out there. How are you integrating it now?
Right,
How are you
right,
living it? You know?
right,
So
right.
that's I'll pause there for now.
Well, first of all, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a personal question because
Mhm, sure.
did you experience depression, anxiety, or panic attacks prior to your divorce, or was that something that manifested afterwards?
Oh, I had it before. I had it before. Yeah, the depression really came out when my dad passed. When and I was 24 at the time. But as I started to recognize these things that I was experiencing, I'm like, oh, that's depression. Oh, I've had that for a while. It's like, oh, wow, like, oh, that anxiety. Oh man, I've had that for a while. It's just I never I had yet to have the language around what it was. I just knew I was having these experiences. So now as I learned about it, I was like, oh, John, this has been going on for a while. I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, I got to take care of this.
Well, I think what happens is that we just keep pushing forward and we don't stop, and particularly men. Men
Yes,
just feel like, okay, I need to get it done, show up for work, bring home the paycheck, all the things, and we just keep kind of squashing it and squashing it, squashing it.
right.
When also you have depression, it may manifest as like high functioning depression. And so it's not like the kind of depression where you're not getting out of bed and you're not doing all the things you're supposed to be doing.
Right,
And until you had mentioned like the dark cloud, right? So
right.
this dark cloud is, you know, hovering above, but we're just ignoring it until finally there's like a wake up call.
And there's always a wake up call, kid. This is always a wake up call. And this is something that I recognize for myself. It was the feeling of numbness, the experience of like, how do you feel about that? I don't. Like, I don't feel anything. That's the dangerous part
Mhm.
because I think especially for men, when I notice for myself and for other men that I've been in connection with and worked with, there's a tendency to want to push down because there's never an awareness of acknowledging what that could even be. Right? It's just like, oh man, I'm feeling this way. Ah man, suck it up. So there's never any type of acknowledgement on, hey, I could be experiencing curiosity, I could be experiencing betrayal, I could be experiencing sadness or loneliness. There's never any exploration of that. So we just like there's a tendency or unconditioned or unconscious playbook to push it off to the side. Just do what you're supposed to do and it'll be fine. Like just don't worry about it. And that's where trouble comes up.
Right. But
Big time.
and I'm sure that you will agree with me, but this is like the conditioning that young boys, then young adults, young male adults into adulthood have always been told to suck it up, be strong, be tough, don't
Yeah.
show emotion, don't cry, like all the things that, yes, it's getting better because, we're realizing more and more that that's not healthy. But,
Right.
for say men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, older, this is what was taught way back
Right.
when. And it's hard to undo that conditioning and also rewire the brain.
It is. And I'd say it's challenging, right? Because there's no in most cases, a man's got to create their own model because there's never been one, right? Like so one of the things like I noticed, I created this program called Blueprints, and it's really a play on the Jungian archetypes of the men with the king, the warrior, the magician, the lover. And I was fascinated because there's all this talk about what these archetypes are, but there was a failure in understanding, like, okay, well, what is that in me? And I noticed that when I taught that course to men, and even with some young men too, it was like there was such an awareness and an awakening of like, oh man, like I got that from my mom, or I got that from my uncle or my dad. I don't even like that practice. Okay, well, what do you want to do instead? Now that's where something else comes up, because usually it's not. There's never a query for what do you want, right? It's just like do this or do what you're told. They're like, all right, man, you got to go out there. You got to be the protector, the provider, all that stuff, right? But what does that mean for the person, and what's the purpose behind it? Because I think that like working with men, and you know, I've talked to other men in my circle, we talk about this. I think there would be a reduction in depression and anxiety with men if they are aware of their purpose.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, well, this podcast is all about talking about purpose.
Let's go.
And I think, or maybe I feel that men think that their purpose is just supposed to be the provider, show up when they're supposed to show up, and they don't see like the bigger picture of purpose.
Exactly. I agree with that. Well, I think whenever I have these conversations, I always want to make sure that we're aware of the external or environmental conditioning to things. And it's very subtle, and it happens in a myriad of ways, like even to how we address boys in school, right? What we have them work with, what we have them do, right? Like, and also there's beginning to be a lack of accountability and rigor that boys really don't have like we used to have, right? So now all of a sudden, like when there's an opportunity to hold someone accountable, there's not enough um confidence or wherewithal to take feedback. It's like almost very being very sensitive. So there's really towing a line in how we work with young boys, and then also how we start to reframe and rewire older men, right? Because that's all it is. It's just a perspective, changing the perspective, and then all of a sudden things could get reworked.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. So there's really two spectrums here, when we're
Mhm.
talking about the young boys now, right? And what they're taught in school, what they're told to do, not to do, or there's that, okay, don't say too much
Right,
because then they might get offended or they may feel hurt or it may trigger something, maybe a bad behavior, so we won't say anything. And
right.
I feel like that's the worst. That's even harder than like rewiring somebody that's been conditioned to act or respond a certain way.
Yeah, this is there's so much here. There's
There
so
really
much
is.
because there's been a in my judgment a strategic and steady conditioning of masculinity over the years. And I think it's really to make men more docile, more passive, easily controlled. And I'm unsure of the motive. I'm just seeing the trend and tendency. Like, there was this feminist movement, and there was like to bring power to women, and not even power to women, but just more of like have equality. Like there's an equity there, right? Now this starts to happen. Then there's things like the Me Too movement. So now it's like, okay, well, we want you to, respect us, and we want you to see us on your level. And then when there gets to that point, now all of a sudden, like, yo, you're not a man. Like you can't do this. Like, why do I have to decide? Why are you asking for my opinion? So I think that there's been a confusion, and like, well, where do you want us? What do you want us to do? Now, this is the thing, right? As soon as a man starts saying, well, what do you want us to do? That's when you know there's a loss. there's a disconnect to their purpose, to their leadership, to their inner sovereignty, right? There's a bigger issue at play than what do you want them to do, right? So, but this is where a lot of the men are, because I think there's a narrative of like, well, if a man can't lead, then we don't want anything to do with him. But then if a man leads, then he's being too aggressive. And it's not all men, but I think that there's, if you pay attention to a lot of how men are portrayed in certain circumstances, it's like, that's interesting. That's interesting how they portray men, because especially in media. So I'm just going to pause there, but I think that there's a lot at play that we get to look at and really see what's there, rather than like being unconsciously conditioned.
So you bring up a really good point, and which makes me think of, I know one of the things that you do talk about is like the balance of the masculine and the feminine energy.
Yes.
And if both sides,
Yes.
the women and the men both
Yeah.
had more of this balance, instead of like, okay, if we had a scale, and the
Mm-hmm.
masculinity is up here at one point and then it drops down because they're told to like squash their feelings, or the way they're doing things, or being too aggressive, then the other side of the scale goes up and it's like too feminine. So there has to be this, kind of equilibrium, between the two. But
It's a
that's not
must.
how people are brought up.
Right.
So, I mean, from your perspective, because you can only go by like who you are and what and who you teach and how you help men see that there can be a balance.
Yes.
How do you approach that?
Oh, great question. Great question. And carefully. So, to give you an example, right? I think this is such a great question, because I even got caught up in that loop of like the masculine feminine, that masculine feminine dance. And it wasn't until I read the Hermetic Principles, Trismegistus, when he talked about gender. And it's like a philosophy. But he said like the masculine and feminine, this is just like a conscious, unconscious mindset, right? So he looked at it beyond the sexual organs and just more as energies. So when I'm talking to men about this, especially like, hey, and I've had videos about like tapping into your feminine energy, and I think it went over well, but it was at a time too where it's like, there was a seeking for that. But what I explained to guys is that even the fiercest protector has got to be a nurturer. Okay. Because, and then they'll, sometimes, like, especially when I teach the young dudes about this stuff, right? They're like, what do you talk? How do you mean? Right. And I say, well, listen, a fierce protector, what makes a protector fierce, right? And we go through this whole thing. It's like, well, they have passion, they have purpose, yeah. But what about like, what is it about the thing that they're protecting? They hold it sacred, right?
Mhm.
So how do you treat something sacred? Are you rough with it? Like, are
No,
you
you're gonna take care of it.
that's it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, right? So it's never like, and I think just over my experiences and like where I'm going right now with my offerings, and like where I'm looking to really show up in the world, is really working with men, but then working with women too, so we integrate and learn how we work together. Because like you were talking about the scales, it's like, and even when I look at that, like, yeah, there's got to be a balance, but it's really like a harmony. Like the scale never stops, right? Like if you remember the seesaw is never truly still. Like if I shift one little iota, like all of a sudden I got to rebalance. There's a constant balancing on my side and within me to balance on this seesaw. And it's the same thing, whether like, hey, I have to come at this a little bit more assertive, but I also have to come at this from a loving place, right? Like, how they say the iron fist with the velvet glove,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So, like, this is an example of being able to have the harmony. And I think, especially with how men and women are conditioned, I think this is more the route we get to go to find out, how do we harmonize, right? Well, how do we harmonize each other? Like, even in the household, it's more two income households right now, right? So
Mhm.
for the couples that choose to stay together, how do we work together? Like if the woman earns more and the man earns less, okay, cool. Some men may have a problem with that, but wait, we're a unit, right? So how does the unit harmonize with this resource? Because we got to take other resources for the children, for the house, for this. How are we working together? Right? Even you may even hear some people say, okay, how are we going to split this up? Even in that language, right? We're dividing and conquering rather than, okay, how are we going to work together to accomplish this?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, and some people won't be able to see this because we're audio, but like really, it's the explosion of, okay, here's the light bulb moment of we're supposed to work together. It's not supposed to be divide and conquer.
Right,
But it's
right.
but it's been like that for so long.
And I think that's part of the, and I don't want to say agenda, but I think that's part of, the sale. To sell something, you got to create some sort of desire or some sort of deficit, right? So if the more I could split things up and silo things, the more in reality I'm going to start comparing myself to someone else. So now it's like, oh well, I got to get this too, and now blah blah blah. Whereas if we're all together, it's like, yo, we can pool our resources, we can get something real cool.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah.
Or grow. I think you get what I'm saying here. It's just a matter of pooling rather than silos.
Yeah, and it's the communication, it's the language. I think when it comes to language, we're so set in what, again, it's the conditioning of how we were brought up. And to change the language, you have to be really intentional.
Very, very.
So if you're coaching somebody or you're doing a group coaching session,
Mm-hmm.
and this comes up where maybe the people in this group or the person that you're working with is like, this is foreign to them. They're like, but this isn't how I've done things. It's always been the divide and conquer, or, you're
Mm-hmm.
responsible for this, you're responsible for that. And yeah, okay, we'll do these couple things, maybe split the chores, in a certain way so it's even. Um,
Yeah.
how do you approach that when you're coaching people?
So yeah, how do I approach them trying to lock into a new way of doing things? Right? Is that
Hmm.
what your question is?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, follow me with this one, right?
Okay.
So once we recognize that there's something there, like this thing, like I've always done it this way. How I see this and how I work with this is now we got to get to the root. Okay, so when's the first time you remember hearing that? When's the first time you remember that coming into play, like that type of thing? Oh, it was like, psh, and usually it goes back to something in the childhood. Well, I remember seeing my mom and dad or this person and that person doing this and that, and haha. Okay, now we got the hook, right? So how did that work out? Do you see that working out well? Because now we want to see, like, what's the result of that belief or that story that they have, because it's, we all have them,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
So now once we have that hook, like, nah, I really didn't, nah, really, I don't like that way of being, right? Like, I didn't like this, I've just never done it this way. Okay, well, like, let's go beyond imagination. Let's, like, okay, let's pretend like we could do something different. What would you do? Like, if you're there as you with that younger version of yourself, what would you do? So now this is another thing that there's a block for men that I found, right? Stepping into imagination, which is a mental faculty we have. Like, well, I don't know. I can't imagine that. Sure, you can. You just had to practice. You know what I mean? You just had to practice, my guy. So again, so it's really, once we have that situation, we get to what's the root of it, and then we start to have them check the impact of it, of that belief. Do you want to keep it or not? What's the impact been? How does it show up in your life? There's a whole bunch of questions I could ask. but it's just to get them to understand, like, damn, this had an impact. Ooh, all right. So, okay, listen, you get the impact. So, what's something you do different, right? Now is the table turns because now it's like, geez, I don't know. Well, let's think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes, and if time permits, like because a lot of times when I'm in a circle, I have sometimes either hour or hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and there's people in there. We all got to have talk. So sometimes there's not that kind of time. But when I'm coaching people, or like when we have that kind of space, like where people have already trusted, we built that trust, we can go into the process because once they can envision something new, Candice, now we can make the switch. Okay, what's one action of that new way of being? Oh, well, that cat's gonna wake up and do 50 push-ups. Okay, cool. Tomorrow I'm gonna have you wake up and do 50 push-ups. What? Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because now it's like I gotta have a changed behavior. It's like a Dr. Joe Dispenza. Goodness. I'm a big Dr. Joe Dispenza fan. You gotta see something different, do something different,
Right.
get
So
different.
you something that you said, uh, really made me think about the difference in men and women. And when you
What was
said
that?
about imagination,
Woo, tell me what came up for
I
you.
feel
Tell me what's
like I never thought of this before because I mean, if I wasn't having this conversation with you, it might not have had this thought. But
yeah.
I just thought imagination is imagination. I never really thought about like men not having imagination the way I think women have a much easier time using imagination.
Yeah.
I guess it's like the linear thinking.
It is. It is linear thinking. And I think it's something we all have, but again, it's something that we get conditioned towards or away from, right? Like, hey, here's the job, do the job. Where it's like, even when I was in management, it's like getting to work with others in like the succession planning, getting others to get ready for management. It's kind of like, hey man, how are you going to see outside of the box to fix this situation? You got to have imagination, you got to have creativity. This is one of the reasons I'm very particular, and I picked this up really over the year, is really teaching more about the mental faculties, especially when it comes to men's mental health. So for those that are listening and they're like, what the heck is that? The mental faculties are as follows: intuition, imagination, memory, perception, reason, and will. Those are the six mental faculties. I firmly believe, and I didn't make those up. Those came from, I think it was Jim Rohn. Uh, I truly believe when a person, a man, can focus on one of those mental faculties a day, even if they want to focus on one for the month, their depression and anxiety will be reduced. I truly believe it because listen to what you just said. If we take imagination, for example, and we've all seen the stats about male suicide, and I've had that space for myself where I've had suicide ideation, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to be here. If I was unable to imagine another life for myself, I most likely would have carried out what I had in my head. But I had to imagine something different for my life than the life and the existence that I was living, or else I wouldn't want to be here. I wouldn't want to give myself one more day to see if things changed.
Yeah.
So, you see, do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Or even
absolutely.
perception, being able to see something differently. See what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yes.
Changes things.
Talk to me some more about the other mental faculties.
Sure. So intuition, for example. you say, what's one of the words, what's one of the things we've heard? Women's intuition. What about guys' intuition? We have that too. We have that too, guys. You know what I mean? Like everyone's got it. We have a perception. We have our gut. We have our sixth sense, our gut instinct. Our gut knows, right? The thing is most of the time when people have an instinct to do something, that intuition to do something, we fail to do it. We're like, it's just a hunch. I'm not gonna, you know what? That's stupid. And then you see an idea you had on Shark Tank, and now they're making multi-millions. Okay. See what happens? Your intuition told you, or that time when you're like, hey, um, my gut's telling me I'm gonna go a different way to work today. And then you follow your gut and then you avoid an accident. Like this is intuition. We all have it, but majority of people fail to tap in.
Mhm.
Then they beat themselves up when they didn't listen. You know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's a practice to listen to yourself and listen to your intuition. So that's intuition. We talked about imagination, memory, how like checking on our memory and like what do we remember? What do we recall? So there's a couple ways that we do this, right? Especially in our information age. If you think back to like I'm 50, so in my younger years, we had to remember a number. Like I can still remember my mother's number, 908-522-0724. Okay. I remember that. You asked me a number I got over the past year, I'm looking at my phone for it. Okay. We weaken our mental faculty of memory because we keep jotting things down or like, like to put in our phone and just not think about it. But we even used to write things. We don't write anymore. Writing it helps to lock things into our memory. Even one of the things that I do when I'm working with others, and I like to do even just like a casual thing, is to do check-ins and then to actively listen. Like hear what they're saying and recall what they're saying. Like, what am I picking up in their body language, in their tone? Like, what did I hear that resonated the most with me? Like, can I remember those things? And that in itself will help to build the memory because that's important to recall. And that contributes, I'm going to go out of order, but that contributes to the will, right? So if I can recall something in my memory and then I have the will to focus on it, I can accomplish basically anything. Okay. One of the most precious commodities out here right now is people's attention.
Oh, yeah.
So we are constantly being bombarded. As soon as you even whisper in your house, like I would wonder what it would be like to get a new vacuum. All of a sudden, I'm gonna see advertisements for vacuums to purchase something. Okay. That's how these algorithms work. That's how these devices are all trained to work. They're trained to figure out what's going to capture your attention and get it. So now, from a faculty standpoint, do I have the will to focus on a thing? Okay. I'll give you a perfect example of something. Take a candle or something. Take a candle in like a regular area, put it on your countertop and sit and watch the candle for only the candle, only the family candle. Watch it for 5 minutes. And anytime you stray away, you got to stop the clock and start over. See how far you get.
That's
Okay.
probably very difficult for most people.
More than you would think. I remember because I did some quick story, right? And we did a men's challenge. Me and my guy Zach, we did a men's challenge, and for mental health, one of the things was to work on a mental faculty for the 10 days, one a day. And for Will, it was to look at a candle for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, what? Piece of cake, piece of cake. So I go, I'm like, I'm gonna do this today. I'm looking at this candle. I look away. I'm like, that had to be a minute, 15 seconds. What? Go again. I'm looking at this candle. Now I'm shaking Candice. I'm like, I'm not gonna look away. I finally look away. 57 seconds. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was supposed to do a post on that. I'm gonna do one. But I just thought it was interesting because again, that's will, right? Because and I think the most successful people can attest to the power of our will. if I could say in my head, like, I'm going to get this done and have myself focused, have the will to get it done, it's a whole new set of circumstances that we have for ourselves, especially when it comes to mental health, right? Perception, perception, how I'm seeing things. Like, so for me, I'm a non-custodial dad. I've been parentally alienated. That's a whole other thing. Along with that came a lot of anger, bitterness, resentment, sadness. Throw in there like some sprinkles of anger, and really just dark clouds. So I noticed like I was only seeing things a certain way. Like I'm seeing this as a victim. Like they're doing this to me. How could they do this? I can't believe the courts don't help me out. Why? Then I was like, okay, how can I look at this from a different perspective? Maybe there's something that I have yet to learn here. Right. As soon as that opens up, I'm like, oh, junk. I get it. Now, okay. I never thought about it like that. And that also brings in the other faculty of reason. Reason is looking at it like, well, sure, they said it this way, but what could be the reason that they said it that way? I look at this as empathy, right? And they all tie in a way, but this reason is it's like I look at it like as King Solomon. Like, and for those who are like, what's the reference? King Solomon was a very wise king in biblical in the Bible. So I look at it like that reason is like I'm gonna look at things from before I act. I'm gonna emotionally regulate and look at the whole landscape and then go from there. Right. So I think I got them. I think I got them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
so
think I got 'em.
glad that you brought that up and that we discussed that further.
Yeah, sure. Which one? The faculties you mean?
Yeah, the faculties, just
Oh, yeah, me
all
too.
of them. And the fact that you said emotionally regulate instead of reacting, because I feel like that is a huge part of what is wrong with with people. I mean, I hate to say it like that. I don't mean for it to say it that way. And I'm guilty of it myself. There's plenty of times where I just react instead of take a step back, evaluate the situation, put these faculties into place, and
Yes.
and then proceed, right?
Listen, it's so easy, Candice. It's so easy to say. It's so easy to say. But this is what I say because I live this myself, and it's a practice. It's a practice. It's all a practice. Like I have to practice reason and perception on a daily basis because when I need it, if I'm not practicing it, there's no way I can. I'm going to fail to access it. This is like when, um, and I did a post about this because I was just like I go into these thought spirals when like these epiphanies come up, right? And I'm like, oh God, I got to get out of this. But it's just like, it just deepens like a wisdom and a perception of things that there's so much talk around like men's mental health. Like, well, hey, men, if you're experiencing any difficulty, reach out and ask for help. And I'm like, yes, reach out. And like, how do you practice that? Like, are you talking to somebody every day, whether it's like a voice memo or a voice call or something, or like, do you practice asking for help once a week? Because listen, when it comes down to it, if a guy is not practicing that, when it's his darkest time, that's going to be the last thing he's thinking about.
Right.
It's the last thing he's thinking about. Like, I wonder who I could call right now. It's probably like, nah, if I jump this fence and jump onto the highway, I'm not even gonna finish that thought. But I'm just saying, like, we gotta practice it. It's like when people talk about meditation, like, yeah, that's great and everything, but just practice sitting with yourself and observing what thoughts are in your head for real. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. how do we get men to ask for help and reach out and not feel like this loneliness or this I need to fix it all by myself kind of mentality?
Yeah, it's like collaboration over competition.
Mm,
And I think that's part of it. I think it's really I think a lot of it is language. Like for and what I mean by that is like, and I don't want I want this to be free of saying, hey, I got the answers because I'm navigating this as well as I'm learning to attract and really like get like and like get out to more men. Is I've been very resistant of calling circles healing men circles, right? Because I'm looking at it. If I'm not in this work, I'm like a healing circle. What are you talking about? What do I gotta heal? But if it's something like the arena, man, like yo, let's chop it up about what you're battling. And it doesn't have to be something bad. It could be like, hey, I want to get a promotion. Let's bring it to the arena. What's the tools you got? Because I think once men can start to learn what it is to connect with other men on a build type of mentality, it will automatically open things up in my judgment. Because I've seen it, right? I've seen it. It's like once you create these spaces, and we have some, it could be some random check-in, not like, hey, what do you think about the Giants quarterback? It's just something like, hey, listen, what's something you want to celebrate or clear or create? One of the two, like one of the three. Like what's something to put, bring that into the circle. And that could start it all. That could start it all. But men got to know that they have space where they're not going to be, there's no judgment if they said something like, I can't believe you just said that. No, we get that enough out here. Not in any spaces that we get into. As soon as we could do that, then men will be more comfortable to be like, hey, I got something going on. I want to run by you. AKA, I may need help. You know what I
mhm,
mean?
mhm.
Listen and really listen, and you'll hear a man ask for help. You'll hear a man ask for help if you listen. Just
Right.
point it out.
He just might not say, I need help.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit more about the arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
well, I feel like thankfully, we're starting to hear a little bit more about men's circles, men's groups. We're starting to hear about it a little bit more. I mean, we have a long
Yeah.
way to go. I know
Yes.
that for sure. But
Yes.
let because this is an episode with you and you have something called the arena. Share
Yeah.
with us about the arena.
Yeah, absolutely. This I'm excited about this because I've been doing men's circles online for yeah, it's going on almost 7 years. I've been doing them online. So the arena, I created it because I wanted to do something different in men's spaces. I wanted it to be a space where men can be open to sharing what's really going on for them, but really have an idea of looking at their situation with like what do you have available to you, and then help them identify what's a win. What's a win? Rather than spinning in your story, what's the win? And I even have like a little after call thing for people if they want to work it out some more. But the arena is really about helping men look at themselves as the one that has the answer, and being able to go to other men or go into an arena and get that feedback, go into battle, get nicked up, train, hear, like collaborate. Like I think when we start to change the language and how we approach things with men, I think then men will start to gravitate more towards it. And for this, like this is something I'm collaborating with Hope for Healing. It's a nonprofit here in New Jersey. One of my friends created it, and it's about helping people find mental health resources, whether it's a therapist, psychologist, support group. So the money that it's this is all donation based. So whatever is donated, a portion goes to the facilitators, and then a portion goes to Hope for Healing, so that they can start to finance some of these therapists that are going to be out here for people. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be 2 times a month. If it's a call for it, then we'll up it to once a week. But for right now, 2 times a month is good. if they want support, we're going to be doing it in New Wellness Neighborhood in school, so we can start to create a cocoon, an environment for people to really come back home, come back home, come back to yourself, come back to that sovereign space. So looking forward to Arena. I'll give you all the details for people to register. It's only for men at this point. But like we're gonna have in the New Wellness Neighborhood, we're gonna have courses for women as well, so that they can do some of the work that we're doing out here, and then we can come and integrate. So, very excited about what's coming. Very excited.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for you. This is like
Yes.
so necessary. The more we can
Thank
do,
you.
the better, right?
Oh,
So,
I'm excited. Yeah. Hmm.
so you have some other things. And and I was saying to you before we hit the record button, how I love how you've been able to take names and words and turn them into acronyms and symbolize different things.
Yes.
So I would love for you to share a little bit about the coaching and the name.
Yes.
And then I want to talk about your books.
Yes, most definitely, most definitely. Yeah, so New Wellness LLC, that's my business, my consulting business. And funny story I'll share. When I was married, my neighbor across the street, I had just started a company called Balanced Wellness because like I wanted people to have a complete version of well-being, not just the fitness, but like the social, the career, the relationship, all of it. And my neighbor was like, you should call your business New Wellness. And I was like, what? Like, okay, Mark, whatever. And like, it wasn't until the second time he said it, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. Yeah. So I was like, yes. So it's wild because ever since then, like, because it really embodies who I am. Like, my last name is Newell, and my consulting is helping people with a different version of wellness. And it really it bleeds into everything that I do, everything. So that's like the coaching is really helping. It's been more in line with men, but I've done co-ed circles, but it's really about helping men to align to a different version of well-being. Like, and that includes the fitness, but also like how are you doing socially, like with your relationships? How are you doing mentally? Like, how are you doing spiritually? So it even comes down to our check-ins, getting them regimented on movements, mentally and physically, and things for the spirit, which has been helpful. And then helping them to come back to who they are. And I do that like either personal coaching, group coaching, and I also do that in the youth juvenile commission. So going into different facilities, working with young men, and like all goes well, we're going to be working with young women this year, this upcoming year as well. So that's how that started with New Wellness, and that's how we keep going. It's just like I love the name, and seeing it every time. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And then Heal.Thy.Man method. I'm like a wordy, right? So ever since working with my coach, John Tompkins back in the day, like I've always looked at healthy and I'm like, dang, it's telling us right there to like whatever we put after healthy, that's what it's telling us to heal. Heal thyself, heal thy man, heal thy woman, heal thy body. And I'm like, that is so cool because it's like biblical to me. It's like a command. So when I was putting the book together, and the book is all just my every like things I went through and what I like looking back, what I did to get out. So it's broken down into three sections. One is Step into the Arena, which the arena is based off of. The next is Master Your Mojo, and the next one is Rising to Your King. So when I put it all together, I was like, yo, these are the Heal.Thy.Man methods. This is it. So I was like, I created it because if a man picked up the book, he could go to any chapter and start from there. That's what I love about it. I'm like, yo, and it's a conversation I'm having with them, like, hey, listen, this is what this is. So, and that's how it comes off. Like people that have read the book, they're like, yeah, man, it's very conversational. It's deep. Like, so it's like if you're not used to doing the work and you're not sure about doing it, this is a great place to start and just like learn more about yourself and ask yourself some very important questions that you may have never asked yourself these questions before. So that's where the Heal.Thy.Man method comes in. And then I have another book coming out with my co-host for the podcast, More Than Black or White, Brian Rankin. It's called Health, Hustle, and Higher Learning. So that at this point is coming out in January because I was procrastinating. But yeah, but it's coming out. I'm looking forward to it. January is going to be a big month. The arena starts on the 4th. Blueprint starts on the 28th, which is a program for men. And yeah, the book is coming out in January as well. So big month
Well,
for us.
yes, you
Big
have a
month.
big month, and this podcast is going to come out in January too.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. The podcast is out. We have 100 episodes out already. So I'll give you the links. It's good. It's a lot of info on there. So integrate that stuff. You'll
Yes.
thank us later.
What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you? Like, is it best to go to your website, or is it best to connect with you on social media?
Best to connect on social media. At heal.thy.man.message is gonna be the best. That's the one I check the most frequent. Like that's where I post and things go all over the place. But yeah, contact me there, and then we start the conversation. Then you'll get the email and phone number and all that stuff. But usually when people reach out, if it's just like a hello, like let's have a conversation. But if it's more along the lines of, hey, I think we could be a fit to work together, then I have links on my profile that they can set up an appointment. We'll talk shop and see how I can support and help out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And yes, most
Yeah.
definitely, all the links will be in the show notes so people will be able to find you easily.
Yes.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anything we didn't talk about today that you would like to share?
Yeah, be kind. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Because you said it before, Candice. Like there's a lot right now. People are highly combustible. People are highly combustible, myself included. Like, there's a lot of things, like even though I'm doing the work and practicing, like there's some things that are still activations, so AKA triggers. So my want and my ask is that we be kind to ourselves first, and that gives us the blueprint to be kind to others. Yeah. Thank you for that opportunity. Thank
I
you.
love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's so
Mm-hmm.
important. Okay, you know I can't let you go until I ask you the three P questions.
Woo! Go ahead, 3 Ps. Let's go.
Okay, what is something you're passionate about that people might not know about you?
I'm passionate about getting equity in family courts so that it's about the family, not about the dollar. Very passionate about that. It's probably going to be a passion project of mine for my 50s. So, yeah, yeah,
Yes, I feel like just from knowing other people going through the system, trying to get what's fair and what's right.
yeah,
Man, that's a big undertaking, but you know, we need
yeah.
people out there speaking up,
Yes,
advocating.
yes.
I think that is the key word, advocating.
That's it. And the more we advocate, the more we'll come together. I believe it. I believe that that's my intention. Like the more we all are out here talking and like sharing what's real and what's going on and how things can change for the better of the family unit, everything comes together. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Passionate about it.
This is gonna be a whole nother episode.
Might be. We need to set it up. I know you're busy, so it could be in June or something. I don't know. Might be.
Okay, the second question is, what is your definition of purpose?
Oh man, the spirit's North Star. It's my spirit's North Star.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I align to. So purpose is just like the spirit's compass, I guess is the easier way to say it. Like something that fuels a person beyond something physical. It's timeless. It's rich. It's pure. It's primal. I think that's what purpose is in a person. Once they touch it, it's unmistakable. It's undeniable. Yes.
I love that. Okay, there's one more, and that
Mm-hmm.
is there a possibility, a dream, or vision you have for the future?
Yes. Yes, to have a house and land in Uruguay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a vision for me. I see it. I see it. And then having retreats there, having people come visit when they need a space to stay and reset. Come on down. I
Okay,
got you.
so I have to ask,
Mhm.
why Uruguay?
Yeah, so this is the most random. Um, so I was doing this thing called the Omega Point program, and it's like basically parts work and visualizations. And in one of the phases, I think it was phase two, there was an ideal day visualization. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm describing this and these lush greens and the sounds. And my mentor at the time, he traveled a ton. And it's like, that might be Uruguay. Like, what? Who? Uruguay? I've never even heard of this place. I've never been. I don't like, I think the last time I heard about this was doing geography in grade school. But then when I looked online, I'm like, that's it. That's exactly what I saw in the vision. So if the vision said it, then
It must be right.
I'm just follow what I say. I'm just following spirit's compass.
Right.
Uh-huh. Okay, we're going right here. That's
Well,
it.
well, I love it, and I can't wait for it to all come to fruition.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Candice. Thank you so much. Appreciate this. Thank you for having me. It's been awesome. Great
Thank you for
conversation.
being a guest and talking with me about something that is so important.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much, Candice. Bless up to your audience too. Thank you. Looking forward to connecting with them as well.
Thank you again.